Joe presents Liquid Football, sponsored by Paddy Power.
Hello, welcome to Liquid Football on Joe together with Paddy Power. It's the show that takes you inside the dressing room and puts you in the boots of the players. Joining me this week, familiar faces in Wes Brown and Steve Sidwell. And for the first time, Portsmouth, Middlesbrough, West Ham midfielder Gary O'Neill. Not quite fighting fit at the moment though, are you, Gary?
No, I had a bit of an accident the other day, damaged a part of my ankle, so I'm out at the minute.
But keeping yourself fit.
Yeah, pleased to be here instead.
Yes, we're pleased to have you here as well. But we're going to start with the Emirates yesterday. The Arsenal captain, Granit Xhaka, booed off the pitch during their 2-2 draw with Crystal Palace, and then he cupped his hand behind his ear, looked like we have to say, appeared to be shouting an expletive at the fans, I think we can say that, and then he sort of tore off his shirt as he left the pitch. That part of it you see often when players are substituted. But, I mean, well, first of all, what did you just make of the whole situation?
It just literally snowballed, didn't it, in the space of 15, 20 seconds. I think the initial reaction was the boos was because he was walking.
Instead of running off.
It wasn't his performance. It could have been his performance, considering the late. But it was. I think that was the initial one. Then he just carried on walking. Then more sections started booing. And then when he started raising his arms, that's then when it became a little bit more hostile. And then he sort of said what he had to say. But I think there's both parties to blame. I mean, for fans, you should never, in my opinion, you should never boo your own player off. Doesn't matter. No player goes out to play bad, if they play bad or not. But you shouldn't be doing that. And then secondly, for a captain, you shouldn't be doing that.
That's the big point. The fact he's captain, he should know he needs to act differently, shouldn't he? You know, he's not just any player. He's setting an example to the rest of the squad, the young lads, you know, on how you should behave. So I understand his frustration because he has been singled out quite a lot for a lot of Arsenal's problems. But there's other ways to react. You know, you prove the fans wrong next week in the way you play and how you behave. I don't think you need to be cupping your ears and throwing your shirt around and stuff. Yeah,
we could kind of almost take it through as the timeline. I mean, even right from the beginning, Wes, you get the games back at 2-2, having led 2-0, the substitution happens and the fans are already a bit antsy because everything's been, you know, it doesn't feel like it's going particularly well at the moment. So should he have been running off the pitch? Should he have looked a bit more lively?
I would have run off the pitch. I mean, I think the fans ultimately started booing because they were 2-0 up. And yes, I know he's had a lot of stick lately and people are questioning whether he should be captain or even playing. And I think as a player, if that was me, it'd be hard to take, you know. So he's obviously got a lot of frustration out. Personally, I don't think it was a right move. He should have run off first and just a quick jog. I mean, he's a captain, you know, you want to get the sub on. Obviously, everyone's disappointed when you get subbed. It's not nice, and especially being the captain, he's probably a little bit frustrated. But again, he's walking off, he's taking it all in. You know, the hand on the ear, I mean, it's not something you do. You have to win back the fans, and that's not the way to do it, regardless how you're playing. And I just think he's made it 10 times worse now.
Have you ever been in a situation where the home crowd has booed an individual player? They boo teams, don't they? You see that fairly regularly. But have you ever seen a situation where they boo one player in particular?
Not in a game that I've played.
No, I've never had a teammate suffer that badly. You know, sometimes you hear grumbles, don't you, when they give the ball away, but never actually booed off the pitch, especially the volume that was at the Emirates the other day.
Yeah, and I think Torreira was in tears towards around the whole situation. He just kind of really felt for Xhaka.
At the end of the day, he's still human, and he's going to go in that dressing room. He'll probably sit down and go, his own fans have booed him, and obviously again his reaction wasn't right, but he'll be gutted.
But he'll know what they've been saying about him for a while, won't he? He won't be oblivious to the fact that he's a very divisive figure.
Yeah, and he seems thick-skinned anyway to bat a lot of stuff away, but that, I mean, there was reports that some players went to see him, didn't they, that night as well? You know, and whether he sort of said, "No, that's me done now," well, we don't know, but
in the heat of the moment, he probably did.
Yeah, he probably did. He probably thought that's enough now. My own fans are booing me and giving me stick.
You'd be very emotional, wouldn't you, on the way home and that? You know, you might even ring your agent and say, you know, you need to get me out of here. They hate me.
You're hoping the manager has spoke to him as well. Yeah. You know, he would have seen it. He would have seen exactly what's happened. He's going to be on his side. Ultimately, I do think he probably will have to apologise because he just overstepped the mark a little bit there.
Yeah,
but as fickle as fans are, if he plays next week or the next game, and puts in a crunching tackle, passes, scores.
Was it? But putting in crunching tackles not part of the problem that they have with him?
Yeah, well,
because it often leads to giving away penalties.
Let's rewind that. Crunching tackle, not giving away penalties.
Crunching tackle, yeah.
And then scoring, and that, the fans are back on and they're cheering. So, but it's just got to be a positive response. Yeah.
But the fact that 3 players are reported to have gone to see Xhaka, and as you said, you'd expect the manager will have words with him, is going to have meetings throughout the week to try and sort out what's gone on there. It's a guy who this month his wife's had a baby, he's got lots going on in his life, he comes off, he's got the Arsenal fans all turning on him in a game in which, you could point the finger at probably a few players in that game. Can you understand his reaction?
Yeah,
you can get it.
Yeah.
You completely get it.
And I think the fact that 3 players have gone and seen him shows that he's probably quite a popular figure in the group. It shows that he's not one of these that puts himself first very often, and he's not a selfish guy, because the way he came off made it look like he was putting himself above the team. But he's obviously not like that, because for 3 of the lads to go and see him shows that they think a lot of him. And
they voted him in as captain as well, didn't they? So he's clearly a popular figure in the dressing room, and is probably more eloquent as well. What would you have done, do you think, if you'd been in that situation? Would you have gone to see him if you had a player, if you had a teammate who was, getting wound up by somebody? Would you be a peacemaker, or would you just let them simmer down? What would you do?
No, I wouldn't leave them, because although they would probably want to be left alone, you'd go and sit next to them and just say, look, don't worry about that. It doesn't happen to us all, but just let it get a system.
That wouldn't be the most helpful thing to say. No, it doesn't really happen to anyone else.
You're on your own there. No, just me personally, I'd go down, sit next to them, and just say, look, don't worry about that. Just one of them days. Just ignore it. Get it out of your system. Give it 24 hours. Don't make no silly decisions. And
go on, see the kids.
Yeah, just
forget about it for a day or two, and we'll see what happens. But just relax for a bit. Just take your brain off it for a second.
Do you think it could end up having an effect on the other Arsenal players? Do you think it could sort of play on their minds a bit? That it's a player who's clearly popular. Everything that we hear about him is that he's popular with the other players, and he gets booed off. He has a go back. There's now this sort of element of drama around it.
I think they'll be talking about it. I think you have to. If an incident like that happens, whether or not he was in today, or he's not gone in today, the lads will be talking about it. And let's be honest, it's not going to be the most positive. We don't know, nothing's been said yet, but I'm guessing the lads will all be behind him, because they'll be thinking, well, he's taking all our stick as well. He's probably he's taking all of it. He is the captain. The fans are on his back at the moment. Again, they were winning 2-0, and it got back to 2-2, and the fans are taking all the frustration out on him. And let's be honest, it's not just him, but I think as a captain, he's got to handle that situation a little bit better. But he's a little bit unlucky in that sense.
They'll be keen to get another game, won't they, quickly? Let's move on, let's play another game, get something else to talk about, a positive result, and try and spin it around and sort of brush it under the carpet as quickly as they can.
But the next game, does he play or not? As a manager, would you pick him to think this needs to be just squashed, get under the water? Because the longer he doesn't play, then it sort of kind of drags on.
I think, the manager should pick his team. Do you know what I mean? If Xhaka's going to be in his team anyway, then he should be in the team. Yeah. And then you sort of answer that we're bigger than the reaction we get from the fans. We're going to do it how we think we want to do it. I think if you leave him out, it just creates more of a story.
I think it was David Beckham and Wayne Rooney individually had a go at England fans, wasn't it, rather than fans of their club. But you must have been tempted. I think if it was me and somebody, you're just getting loads and loads of abuse, you would be tempted to turn around and give it back.
You can understand his reaction. You can understand, I think, you're walking off the pitch, you're getting absolutely battered by your own fans. Whether you've had a good game or not, nobody has the intentions of going out and making errors and playing poorly. And it's just a human instant reaction, hot-headed reaction, and we've all had it, but you just keep emotions in check.
I've reacted a few times on Twitter. You get the messages through about how bad you were, and you think, I really shouldn't.
Keyboard warrior.
Yeah, we
behind the keyboard lyric.
Sometimes you just go, you know what? I'm going to tell him what I think. And afterwards you think, I probably shouldn't have done that. But it does get to you. It definitely does get to you. You're only human.
What did you react to? What was it?
There was one recently, actually, where I'm not playing, but some Portsmouth fans were saying they should get me back and I'll be a great signing. And this guy pulled up some stats, said, I'm not sure he's got the legs for League One anymore. So I was like, well, hold on a minute. Hold on, what did he say? So I was like, what do you mean? I've never even played in League One. I've been in the 2 leagues above. Yeah. I said, so, and I ended up putting stats and that on there. I was digging out stats and training. So I wanted to prove to him, but I don't know why, because he's like, I don't even know him. He could be anybody. But I didn't like the fact that he was putting false stuff about me out there, so I just reacted. And sometimes, as you say, it gets to you, even though you don't.
Been buzzing. Yeah. He must have had the old fishing rod.
I was getting loads of little fish and the coming up.
I love the idea that you've gone away and you've researched it properly as well. You haven't just gone back and said, "No, I think you're talking rubbish." Hold on a second while I construct this argument properly.
He was hitting me with stats, so I was hitting him back with other stats.
How much of your time did that consume?
It was about 15 minutes.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah, there was a lot of
He's got stats on his phone.
That's what I was going to say.
I was trying to get a new club, so I was sending the stats to everyone I could find in my phone.
You have to get one of those, like the little dossier like that Michael Owen had. Do you remember when they were trying to say get one of those on hand? But look, I mean, you can understand why tensions are higher at Arsenal. It doesn't feel as though things are going in the right direction. It doesn't feel like they've changed direction really under Unai Emery.
Yeah, well, the only direction is sideways, isn't it? They've not got any better, they've not got any worse. It's the same as they were, 4 or 5 years ago. Looking at their results, when they take the lead, fans are not thinking that they can hold on to it. They can see a flaky performance coming before a Chef U. So, it's the same character. It's the same things. They need characters. They need strong personalities. They need a bit of steel in there, and
there's no consistency, is there?
No, that's what they've missed, isn't it?
At all. And yes, they've got good players, but they've not got them senior players where you can put the foot down. If something's going wrong, they step in, sort it out, calm everything down, calm the situation down. It just seems like from one week to another, they're good this week, and then next week, they're back to letting in goals again. It's frustrating. And it'll be hard to sort out.
The Paddy Power latest odds on Granit Xhaka to be officially stripped of his captaincy are 14-1, 25-1 to be sold in January, not including loan deals, and 20-1 never to play for Arsenal again. What do you think they need to do to move forward? What's the next step? It might be that he's decided that's enough and he doesn't want to anymore. It might be his choice.
Yeah, I think the lads have talked about it. That night yesterday would have been all over the place. Today it'll be calmer, and I'm sure the manager will have a word with him, and I'm sure he's calmed down quite a lot. I mean, you're not just going to get rid of a player because of that. No. He may have to apologise in some sort of way because he did overreact, but no, you don't get rid of a player just because of that. I mean, if he doesn't want to be there, that's a different scenario altogether, but it doesn't mean it's going to be in January. But I just think he might, probably have to apologise and be bygones and get on with it and do really well next game.
Did you say, Kel, earlier that he just had a baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean...
Well, he didn't.
No.
But I'll be honest, he's not put the hard work in there.
So there's situations, and I'm sure all three of us can back this up by, you could have the worst game, poor performance, lose a game. As soon as you get home and you've got your baby or your kids and you're at home, it's a different world. You always think... when you got that drive home or you're in the dressing room, it's like you just think the world's on your shoulders. But as soon as you get out of that environment and you're home and you've got your kid in his arm, like he's probably last night, you just thought there's more to life.
I wonder, with social media now, if you ever properly escape the bubble in the way that you used to be able to, that you can actually go in and get yourself so entangled in all of that it's harder to switch off.
I think it's definitely become harder, than it was, because you used to play, didn't you? And then there was a newspaper on Monday mornings with your ratings in and a report, and that was about it, wasn't it? Back in the day.
Have you still got them ratings?
No, I never used to read them. They used to affect me too much. Yeah. I used to say, he wasn't even there. That geezer would give me a 5. He wasn't even at the game, I'm sure he wasn't. But I think, Xhaka, you could just use it as like a fire in your belly to prove them wrong. That's the way you should use it. I'm going to show the fans that I can do a job for the club. I can help the club move forward.
It's a big moment for Unai Emery, though, as well, isn't it?
It is. Especially with results not going ideal as well. It's not as if he's coming at this from a strong position, is he? He's already in a bit of on a sticky wicket already.
Yeah, and also because as much as the players voted for Xhaka to be captain, that's Unai Emery's man. He's become captain under him, hasn't he?
Yeah. For me, I think what they should do is come out, do a statement, apologise, say you shouldn't have reacted in that way, go on to the next game, forgotten about. And I truly believe that
he'll definitely back him. I don't think he'll take the captaincy off. He wouldn't. He'll definitely back him. Yeah.
But in saying that, who else would step up and be captain? For me, he was the best of. I say a bad bunch, but a best of a weak bunch.
Well, the signing of Louise is sort of says everything. Like, they needed this big, strong, dominant centre half who could lead in situations like that. And I'm not criticising Louise. He's just that type. He's inconsistent, the same as the team are. It just sort of summed up the direction they were going in.
Right, time now for the Paddy Power Challenge. Luis Garcia won last week with the gargling competition. And he had a £250 bet, but he put it on West Ham to beat Sheffield United. They drew, so he doesn't get the money for that, just the original £250 that Paddy Power have given to his charity. This week's challenge is trick or tweet, because it's Halloween. And this week we've got the Magic Mod in, who is a qualified magician and a very good magician, to teach each of you a trick. We're going to put them all out on Twitter, and whoever gets the most likes is the winner. So let's take a look at exactly what you've been up to.
Hi kids, I'm back and I have a new trick. Today I'm going to try and make the handkerchief disappear. As you can see, we have a lovely black and white handkerchief, and I'm going to stick it in to my hands. Let's see, it's taking a while. Can we get it in there? Yes. There we go. Oops, I don't know what happens, but I feel like an egg.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my show. I'm Gary the Oracle O'Neill. You're never going to believe this little story. I got this colouring book for my little boy. I took it home. I said to him, "Here, mate, have a go on that. You love colouring that in." And he opened it up and he went, "Dad, there's nothing in there, mate. How am I going to colour that in?" I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, mate." I said, "Let's leave it to the morning. I'll take you back to the shop, see what the geezer says." So I'm going down the shop. I'm raging. My little boy's at home in tears, right? He's crying his eyes out. So I'm into the shop. I said, "Mate, look at the book, look. I've got that home, my little boy. He's in tears. There's nothing for him to colour." So he said, "Get it here." So I'll give it to him. He said, "Look, mate, there's loads in there. Look, there's loads in there. He can colour all of them. Look, hundreds of them." I said, I'm going to leave it now, mate. I don't really fancy it. He's upset. I'm going to get him a football or something." And he said, no, hold on a minute. Your little boy's coloured some of them in. Colour some of them in. You can't take that. You're going to have to take it now. You have to take it home.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am Steve It's Gone Wrong Sidwell, and I am going to do a magic trick for you today involving a newspaper and a jug of milk. Here we go. I'm going to first of all open up the newspaper. Oh, Spurs lost. That's what we like to see. Let's just roll this one up. There we go, into a nice cone there. We're going to just fan that out a little bit there. There we go, just like that. Then we're going to get the milk. In it goes. Whoa. Not too much. That's getting a bit heavy, that. Let's get a bit more in there. That's plenty. Filled that up. It's going everywhere, that. Right, what do I do now? Where's the instructions? All right, okay, drink it. Well, there's nothing in there. How do I do that? That's gone wrong.
This is Liquid Football on Joe, together with Paddy Power. I'm Kelly Cates, alongside Steve Sidwell, Wes Brown and Gary O'Neill. And if you like what you see and hear, then please leave us a nice review on iTunes or YouTube. Now, here's psychologist and former NBA player John Amici with details about his business show from Joe.
My day job is helping businesses thrive through disruption. This show is not about business. It's about people who go from nothing, a seed of an idea, something that everybody thinks is completely impossible, and build it into this massive business. There are 1,000 different ways to be a huge success. One of the most interesting things that we're learning is that how people are failing is almost as important as how they succeed. In fact, it's integral. It's business. Pioneers is having really honest conversations with people, talking about their business, their objectives, their purpose, whether they're just out to make a ton of money and then quit, or whether they really want to change the world. Pioneers on Joe. Listen to it, download it, watch it. I had nothing profound to say.
You've been watching Pioneers, together with Open Money. Manage it, save it, invest it.
Episode 5 of Pioneers with John Amici will be available on Thursday. You can watch it on YouTube or you can download it from your usual podcast provider. Remember, you can check out Joe's other shows as well, TKO with Carl Frampton and House of Rugby with James Haskell. Here at Liquid Football, we're still very excited about our live event. It's going to take place in Liverpool. It's on Thursday the 7th of November, ahead of Liverpool Man City that weekend. More details to follow in the next few days, but if you sign up to the Liquid Football Facebook group, then you can get some ticket details from there. Not inconsistent are Southampton at the moment, and it's not necessarily a good thing. The result of the weekend, first game, Friday night, Southampton beaten 9-0 by Leicester. What on earth does Ralph Hasenhüttl... He said after the game that he's taking all the responsibility for that. He said it's on my shoulders. And if, it was... He'd made big tactical changes and they'd lost the game, then you can understand that. But for a 9-0 defeat, is that all on the manager?
I don't think it is. But I think the manager's he's done the right thing in probably taking that, saying, yeah, it's my fault. But he would have found out a few players in that game, Yeah. I know they got a man sent off. But at least, half-time, 5-0. You've got to sit down and the players have got to look at themselves and just say, right, that's it. Shut shop. We just sit behind the ball, we defend properly, we do it right, and no more goals. I'm not saying they want to score one more, but to get another 4, the players, it is the players as well. Like, it's not just the manager.
He's tried to protect them, and that's what he's done.
He's done the right thing.
Protect their confidence and try to get them ready for the next game already is what he's done. He said, look, this is my fault, lads, I'll take that, but you need to make sure next time that you're on it.
Yeah, but surely people can just see through that.
Yeah, definitely will.
You can't come out and say... You can come out and say it's my fault because I told them at half time, or even when we had a man sent off, still go for it, still play on the front foot, don't sit back, then you take the flak. But when you come out, it's obviously that he's just trying to
Listen, they're down. The players are down, aren't they?
Yeah.
So he's got to take a bit.
It's also just after the final whistle as well, so it's not like he's had time to go away and let everything settle.
And he's probably seen he's got Man City coming up twice
in the next week.
Listen,
he needs him next week.
Yeah.
You shoving a microphone under his mouth.
It wasn't me. It was Jeff Shreves. So we just did the happy ones. but the fact is, he's come out and he has said it's on me. He's left the players alone. But if there are players in there, you said he'll have found out about some players in that game. So if there are players in there who aren't going to turn up when you need them to, and he found out about those players, will they care what he says publicly and what he says to the media?
I think it does. I think ultimately, like we said, that night, I probably wouldn't have slept if that would have been me. If I would have been one of the players disappointed, not just myself, but people always think it's just the fans and the players, but you're talking about your family and everything. It's a bad result, and if you've not played well, you do take it to heart a little bit, and he's done the right thing in that. But at the same time, the players now have to somehow get out of this bad way they're being. Because it'll be on their minds all week.
They got City next 2 games.
I tell you what, the only way they can get out of that is just run their hearts out, and that's it. Because let's be honest, I don't think they beat City.
No.
But if they can show they've got a bit of pride and they work for it.
Be interesting to see if it changes his tactics, whether he'd have probably pressed City, and now having just lost 9, he might be thinking 2-0 is probably not a bad result, 2-3-0 would just sit here. It might affect how he approaches the next one.
I just wonder if because they're away from home as well, those 2 games, even if they do go and run their hearts out and get beaten 3 or 4-0, which, like you said, without that 9-0 there, you go, do you know what? It's Manchester City. We know how seriously they take the EFL Cup, and we know how brilliant they are. So if they went there and got beat 3 or 4-0, you go, oh, it's unlucky, but we move on. Now, though, even a narrow defeat is because it's not in front of the home fans as well, so they can't see necessarily what the effort is that they're putting in. It's just going to heap more pressure on, isn't it?
And they're going to be on the back foot, aren't they, straight away? Because obviously they got the 9-0 defeat last week. They're going into a game thinking, well, we can't press, we just need to keep a shape.
You can imagine that feeling after 10 minutes if City score, or first 5 minutes, and you think, here we go, didn't you?
Yeah, but then you need players, like we said before, when you're getting beat, when it's 4s, 5s, 6s, then you need players on the pitch to go, right, listen, you two wide men, you tuck in here, you fall back, you don't bomb on, that's it, shut up shop. You mentioned about in training sessions, you could have a 9 versus back 4 and a centre midfielder 9v5, and the 5 will keep the ball out,
it's
wouldn't
so
they?
hard to score still, yes. So there's no excuse to concede 9 just because you've got 10 men. Because them drills, you'd have done them. Whereas, when you have 2 banks of 4 and you have 11 against you, 11v8.
Yeah.
And they never score, do they? It's so hard to break down.
Very rarely they score.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because it's where's Rio.
It doesn't matter what team you do it in, we all do it, but it is hard to score. I just feel, I don't know, behind closed doors, do you reckon he has given him a good shouting at? Maybe not after the game.
Would it work? After a game, this isn't a normal defeat. So maybe the things that you do in the aftermath of a normal defeat, do you have to adjust them, do you think? If you go in and scream and shout at players who've lost 9-0, you're not telling them anything they don't already know, are you?
No, I think like I said, you probably can't do that. And let's be honest, he's not had a lot of money to spend as well. So he needs these players. He won't get a lot more. That's if he's still there. But they're saying they've backed him. The staff have been told that they're behind him. He's got to look at he'll know his players, and he'll be thinking, right, a few of the senior ones, I'm gonna have to go in pretty strong and tell him how it is and be real with him. And then these other lads that you probably won't say too much about, because I always feel in that sort of game the senior lads then step up and take a little bit of responsibility. It's just the way it is. You can't necessarily blame it on all the young lads. But you could see the heads dropping. They were going, and don't get me wrong, Leicester, everything that went in the box landed on a Leicester player's foot or a head. But you have to give them credit. But it's hard to take it. This is something you don't see every week, is it?
Sometimes though, and I've been at clubs where you come off a back of defeat or you're on a consistent run of poor form and losing. Sometimes you sort it out in the dressing room. Sometimes you don't need a manager. You just the captain or the senior figures will call a meeting in the dressing room. You close the door and you go, right, boys, we're in the shit. What are we going to do? Saturday weren't good enough. We know we didn't run the hard yards. We got these games coming up. What are we going to do? What needs to be done? And it's the players that sort it out there and then, go out into training, and then progress that throughout the week and into the games. It's not always the manager's responsibility. EFL
Cup against Manchester City at the Etihad. Manchester City are 10-1 on to win that one. Southampton at 22s. Manchester City to win 9-0 is 200-1. We haven't talked about the Leicester perspective on this as well, because they've done so well. They did go into second place in the table, and then obviously Manchester City went above them again on Saturday. But the way that Brendan Rodgers has got that squad of players operating, and the way that he's incorporated Jamie Vardy, which is probably the big difference from the Claude Puel time at Leicester. He's got Vardy on this amazing run of form.
I'm sure when he got through the door, his main objective from the very beginning was get Vardy on side, get the main man in this team, probably one of the most senior figures as well in the team. It's quite a young squad, isn't it? Get him on board, get him on side. He wasn't enjoying life before that, so he'd have known Jamie was quite vocal, wasn't he? In his relationship with the previous manager, and it's showing now, isn't it, in the games? The way he's gone in. I've worked with Brendan. His man management, his training is brilliant. You walk out as players, and it's always done on 2 or 3 pitches, and you walk out, there's poles and cones and little mini goals. You're thinking, this looks good. This looks enjoyable today. So straight away, the lads are lively, bubbly. Training's enjoyable. Then it comes down to the man management side of it as well, to each individual. And I think he's ticking all the boxes at the minute. It's been brilliant.
It is. It looks like it's all coming together really well for him there. But if you look at a lot of these young attacking players that have come into Leicester, they did come in under Claude Puel, and they were starting to improve in performances, at least before Brendan Rodgers came in. It's the difference just down to how he's handled Vardy. Is that the main difference?
Maybe. The team spirit, as you can see, the way they're playing on the pitch, they're enjoying it. The way they're playing, the way they're attacking, the young lads, all enjoying it, all helping each other. You can see when they start their game, they're setting up to win. They're going to score goals, they're not holding back. And that shows in the league where they are at the moment. But he's definitely got something right. And whether, like you said, it's man management, that will definitely be a big part of it, because the team are actually playing and they're getting results as well.
We were in the tunnel before the game, and that sort of team spirit was there. You can imagine them all sort of laughing and joking and being friends with each other after a 9-0 win, but it was there beforehand as well. You can see that they're a group of players who genuinely get on. Who do you think has been the best man manager that you've played under?
Sam Allardyce was brilliant for us at West Ham. Really good. He felt like he looked after you. So like Hassan Hüttl has tried to at Southampton. If you had a bad defeat, Sam would try and take the heat off of you guys, try and put it on himself. And if you were playing well, he would sort of big you up, and he was bigging people up to try and get them international call-ups. And so you felt like he was always on your side, and you had him behind you.
Does that work? By the way, I know we're taking a little side turn here, but that idea of like pushing a player in the press and in the media to try and get them an international call, does that work?
Well, it hasn't worked for Mark Noble, has it? I mean, he's been pushed, which is unfortunate, because I think he should have got one. But yeah, I think it does. I think it just makes people aware. Look, and it helps the club. I mean, it's a business as well. So if you start promoting this guy's been brilliant, you know, it might just push his value up a little bit. It might make people aware of it. But I don't think Sam wasn't doing it for that. He was doing it to try and then you feel like a loyalty to him, and you'd be like, he's been good to me, so I don't want to let him down when I'm out there. And I think Brendan is very similar. I think you need to give him huge credit, because he's done well everywhere he's been. Brendan, really well. For
me, at the minute, we touched on this in previous shows as well. I think the modern day manager tactically has to be astute, obviously, but for man management is key now, especially with different players that come across around the world that come and play in one dressing room, how to adapt his language skills, his man management. And I reckon now the top managers, they probably go on a lot of leadership courses. You know, Gansi's, you know, leadership, you know,
they go and talk to people in different, whether it's in different sports or whether it's in business or different
they take
kind of
little nuggets all from there, but they drop it into their own work as well. But I mean, man management is key, isn't it? Because if you've got a manager that you know backs you and that you fully believe in him as well, then it can only blossom. It can be.
We said, didn't we? When you see Man City and Liverpool, when they win, Pep's on the pitch, they're cuddling him, they're hugging him, and Klopp's the same at Liverpool. They're sort of in with the players. Whereas when I first come through, it wasn't like that. You was always sort of scared of the manager, and he sort of ran the dressing room with like fear. You were scared of being left out. Whereas it doesn't seem like that anymore. It's a lot softer, and the players are softer generally as well. The new breed of footballer isn't like it used to be. I mean, in the changing room you was in, whereas you can tell us, but you had real senior players who could manage it themselves, really, couldn't they?
Yeah, and that's where I think the manager was excellent in the sense that, and obviously he's brought a lot of these players through as well. But the senior players as well, I mean, the respect that you would have for them. You would watch them play, you would watch them in the training, and you wanted to do well just for them. And then when you throw the manager in, you know, he's giving you all. I mean, he's tough on you, he's hard. This is Sir Alex, by the way. You know, he's a tough guy.
We guessed.
Yeah, he's a tough guy to work for, because if you're not doing it right, I tell you. But at the same time, you know, I mean, if you're going out on the pitch just before the game, just come on today, son. That's all I needed.
Simple.
But he'd probably do that to everyone who's going out there. And then you don't want to let him down. You don't want to let Keano down. You don't want to let Giggsy down. Do you know what I mean? All these players, you don't want to let them down. So everyone's got the same mindset, and then you go out there focused to obviously ultimately just get the win. And sometimes it wasn't necessarily nice and pretty, but the mindset was there. Just keep on going, don't stop, and we'll get something in the end. So.
Do you think it's also that he was able to bring in and bring through players who had that mindset that, you know, so for example, you go into, say, Brendan Rodgers going into Leicester goes in, and it's not necessarily all his players. They have been brought in by a couple of different managers, so you're having to work everybody out. Whereas if you've got a long time at a club, you go, this is the mentality of the player that I want. So
totally, yeah.
They can come into the fold.
Like the manager, like people always going about the hairdryer. Listen, he didn't do that to everyone.
No.
It's just that's what everyone thinks. Sometimes if you see an arm around his shoulder and he's having a 2-3 minute chat, it depends. And he was so clever at working out when the time was right to do that and when it wasn't. But at the same time, he was always encouraging you. He'd make you understand about the club and what we're here to do. And it all focuses in your head. And then when you're walking out on the pitch, it's like you don't think about many things, but you're focused on, like, this is what I've got to do today. Whether it's a player, whether it's what I've got to do. The biggest threat set pieces where, like, I'm going to sort this out. They're really good in the air. I'm going to make sure it's not my man, or just be fully focused on everything. And he was definitely up there with the best I've seen.
And does that help with confidence?
It does. I mean, there was times when I actually played shocking. And this is not a lie. And I'd be walking in thinking he's going to absolutely just go for me here, and he didn't say a thing. Do you know what I mean? Didn't say a thing. Probably didn't say anything for me a couple of days. Third day in, he'd just say, right, come on now, because he knew it wasn't the time just to. If he would have given it, I would have been devastated, because I already know. He knows I.
It's often not the time, is it? That
he knows
emotional time straight up.
This is what we're talking about the Southampton.
Yeah.
He knows I know, and as long as he knows that, he's happy. He's like, he's going to sort it out.
They hurt more, don't they?
Yeah, they hurt more.
You say there about someone rather come in and shouting there, because you're like, hold your hands up. But then ones where they talk calmly and slowly, and they talk in that tone, and they just have a little quiet walk out the door, and you go,
like,
I feel like you've let him down.
They're disappointed in you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's not even
That's
looked
the
at me.
worst.
That's
Never looked
killer.
at me.
Yeah.
It's not looked to me and said a thing. First goal's my mistake. Not looked at me. You can just see he's disgusted, and it's probably best not to say anything. And then you go home, and you're like, I have to sort this out. But he knows that.
But
I feel for you. I can actually now think, oh no.
But that comes down to a lot of experience from Sir Alex and managers in now, but also the skill set to know not to do it at that time, know when to do it, know what player to do it to. So
I would have been a lot worse if he would have done it that night. Whenever the case was, I'm devastated. Do you know what I mean? I already was bad, but he knew not to do it then, and he would get that right most of the times.
I want to talk now about, we were sort of getting there a little bit on the whole idea of the psychology of managers and how they work with players, because if you saw in the rugby, the semi-final, World Cup semi-final, England's players adopted that V shape when they lined up against the haka on Saturday. Well, lined up against New Zealand, who were doing the haka, and Tim Krul saved 2 penalties against Manchester United at the weekend. We're sort of drawing a line between these two events, because he has this reputation as being brilliant from the penalty spot. And it's really the question is about how much of an advantage or a disadvantage can you gain in those moments before you even touch the ball.
I mean, just going on homework, what keepers do nowadays, they'll know what penalty takers, obviously, because when the team sheets come in, you'll see who's going to probably be most likely to take a penalty from the other team. So they'll have an iPad now, the goalkeepers, and they'll watch. They'll 10, 15 penalties from a certain player or the top 3 players in that might possibly take it. So they'll watch their movements. They'll run up what way they're going to go, what way they've gone previously. But them little wedges, them 1%, they all add up. They make a difference and can win you games.
And confidence-wise, like Man United have missed a few, haven't they, recently? They've not been great from the penalty spot, and Tim Krul is probably full of confidence because he's huge.
I think it's 4 out of 6 they've
which
missed.
is a lot, isn't it? And as you say, Tim Krul's fantastic at stopping them. So when you get that combination of the goalie being really confident that he's going to save it, Rashford maybe running up, not so sure, especially because Pogba sometimes takes them, so you're not even the main. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, there's a bit of, there'd have been doubt in Rashford's mind, whereas I think Tim Krul would have been looking forward to facing that moment. Do you know what I mean? He's got a chance to be the hero. So I mean, it's a surprising one, because you'd expect someone of Rashford's quality to score more than he misses, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we'd probably be making more of a deal of it if Manchester United hadn't won the game, if it had been significant in terms of the scoreline. But that sort of self-belief and that almost like a pre-knowledge of what's going to happen. You mean that you must have had that in your time at Manchester United?
Definitely. Old Trafford, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there was times, and this is not a lie, I was still young, about 20, early 2000s, and there'd be teams when we'd be walking out, we're already in the tunnel, and they'd be walking past us, you might know him. I mean, you're not hugging and stuff like they do now, but it's just a little, keep it down today, lads. Do you know what I mean?
That wasn't me that said that.
I'm just telling you, it was actually the truth. And it didn't stop us mentally from doing anything. If anything, it encouraged us knowing that, we've probably already got these beat here. Because
so opponents would be next to you in the tunnel saying, just be gentle with us.
Old Trafford was like that though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, there was a spell, City, where you'd go
horrible.
there thinking, we have got a chance here.
I mean, we used to, we kept the ball for a long time, and then you've got these players who are the attacking players who, if there's a mistake by the opponents, then there's pretty much a chance on goal, and more than often it would go in. But that's where the mentality would come in for us. We'd be like proper focus on what we needed to do because we needed another 3 points, because we need to stay in first or we need to catch up from second. So do you know what I mean? But then there'd be teams that would ultimately come and you'd probably already have them beat. That's the honest truth.
But there was an aura, wasn't there, around Old Trafford then? So that was a culture that was built. Whereas you go to some stadiums and that psychological edge is done whether the changing room's going to be freezing cold, where they've not put the heating on, whether they've turned the heating right up, so you get in there and you can't turn it off. Stoke, you walk out, they left the grass long on purpose because they don't want you playing football. Things like, I remember Burnley, when I finished my career, I remember Burnley at Brighton, they left the doors open, big Burnley flag above the away changing room sign, and the music blared out like it was a nightclub. And straight away you're thinking, what's that noise? Who was that? And then you walk out, and then the staff down the tunnel there going like, what's that? But it's that little.
What difference does that make then?
Well, it sort of kind of puts you off your own stride. And you should really go, who are these people now? They're coming into our. But that was them. They're going into your patch. We're going to show you. We've got no respect for you. We're going to do things our way still. And that first season, they had a really good season. They finished in Europe, didn't they? I think Burnley. So, but yeah, them little, as I said there, 1-2%. They all add up, especially nowadays.
Yeah, those little advantages at the start of the game. Did you do anything, or was it? Would you really, especially in the time at Manchester United, you would have been the team that would go to places and have teams playing those sort of, I won't call them tricks, but having those sort of.
If anything, I understand what you're saying. If anything, if for that, for instance, it'd probably make because the mentality was so good, it would get everyone angry. Yeah. Like, let's go and don't know what these think they're doing. Let's go and batter him today. Let's go and batter him, and that's the mentality. I don't think anything ever put the lads off in any sense. I mean, we had characters in the dressing room who we all know, but these were senior players, and they wouldn't they've probably done it, been there before, they know what's expected, and these little tricks probably didn't work then.
And I think you knew that as an opposition, when Man United were coming, you knew that you couldn't knock them out of their stride. You knew the only way you could do it was try and start well in the actual game, try and get 1-0 up at home. Fratton was a horrible place to come. I mean, we managed to beat Man United there once or twice, I think, but more because it was like tight and you could get amongst them, rather than you knew you couldn't knock them out of their stride by having a cold change room. They had proper senior players, and they're leaving the changing room cold wasn't going to put them off. So you knew that when Man United were coming.
But you tried it on other people.
Yeah, you would try anything. Even in the changing room, in the tunnel, you might say something. Come on, lads, these don't fancy it. Do you know what I mean? I can tell. Do you know what I mean? Just be little comments.
Watford. Do you remember Watford?
Yeah.
It's work time. Do you remember they said, it's work time. It's work. And you just think.
I remember Danny Shuey being really hard, and he was big as well. Danny Shuey,
and that
he was like that,
was
and he was.
Yeah. So you don't want to be standing next to Danny. He's a big guy.
What is work time?
That was just
ready to go.
That's when they ready to go and play.
They used to scream it down the tunnel. It's work time. This is our time. And I'm thinking, wow, what's going on here?
Like a mantra.
Yeah, it was their little motto. It didn't work, but
yeah. It's an odd one. Goalkeeper in Germany, did you see this? Sent off at the weekend because he tried to. So he conceded a 95th minute equaliser. Got a bit wound up by it, fair enough, and tried to punch the ball, but the guy who scored the goal got in between him. And so he ended, and worse than that, it was not a great place for him to hit the striker either. What's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen happen on a pitch, or the strangest injury that you've seen happen on a pitch?
The weirdest thing I've seen happen on a pitch, I think it was Tottenham against United. And the ball went way over the line.
Yeah.
And
that was Mendes, wasn't it? Mendes from the halfway line. Yeah.
And still to this day, I know the linesman couldn't have got in line with it, but I think everyone could see.
Yeah.
And Roy Carroll's face gave it away as well, didn't it? Roy Carroll's face looking round.
And he's got But I mean, I suppose that's one of the reasons you have VAR, but that was probably one of the most bizarre things I've seen, because it was a blatant goal.
That was almost given as one of the examples. That's why goal line technology came in. That's always given as the sort of one of the things that really spurred them on to start.
Was there one at Sheffield United where the guy missed and it hit the advertised boardings and come back, and the ref gave a goal? He thought it had gone in and come back out.
I remember. I can't remember the teams, but I remember seeing that.
Weird one.
There was the one this weekend did you see? I think it was in Croatia, where it looked as though the ball had gone in the net, but it was the player who was following up that had gone into the net. The ball actually came back off the post, and the other team broke and went down the other end and scored.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
One there, where's the keeper going? Because he came out to celebrate, but towards the halfway line as well.
And then suddenly he realises quite quickly, and then he's like, oh my God, they're running back almost from the halfway line. And then there's the one where, have you seen the one where the subs are warming up behind
that's crazy.
Behind the goal?
Don't understand that one.
So they can do that as the IFAB rules.
The ref did well to know that rule, didn't he? He can't have to use it very often.
I'm thinking he's
someone
guessing.
in his ear.
Yeah.
So would that be the same rule as if it was going out for a throw-in and a player stopped it? You can give a penalty for that?
No, it'd be a free kick then, wouldn't it?
Depends where it is.
No, it's a direct free kick or a penalty.
If the actual play was near the sub, and he was taking him on, and he's maybe going, oh, right, let's keep that in. But I mean, the guy's had a shot. There's no one
we should
near
explain what's it. So they're warming up behind the goal.
Why are they allowed to warm up there?
The ball goes out, and it looks as though the ball's gone out, and the sub stopped the ball and kicked it back onto the. But the game's stopped, hasn't it? Then nobody's sort of pretending that the game's carrying on. But they went and looked back at VAR, and the sub was actually on the pitch when he stopped the ball. So they gave a penalty
for something slightly more important than the sub stopping the ball that much before it goes off the pitch.
I know.
But that's the same as like linesmen, though. You know, when the ball's going out and they can easily just stop it, even off the pitch, but they don't really go through their legs or something. The flag.
Like, come on, mate, just stop the ball.
But you can see it as well sometimes if there's like a defender who's back, then you can see the ball's been cleared and it's going out, and you sort of think, do I actually have to let it go across and then go and get him? Anyway, talking about strange things on the pitch, we're just doing a little roundup of weird things because it feels, I think Mercury's in retrograde. That's what's happened. That's why there's all these weird things. Matteo Guendouzi's rugby tackle on Will Zaha. I mean, it's
brilliant.
Well,
by the way, there's a bit of chat about whether that should be a red card. Do you think that's a red card?
I mean,
in the rules it isn't, is it? Because there's someone else there.
Yeah, it's not.
He's not the last man.
Clear goal scoring opportunity.
By the book, it's a yellow. I mean, they could look to change it, couldn't they? Where if you foul someone on purpose, they could look at it, but they'd have to change the rules.
Just saying, if it's Wilf, I'd do the same.
You
wouldn't do it to every player.
No, when you know you can't catch them.
Yeah, and he's, if he's gone past you and it's 1-on-1, he's more than likely, he's going to take him on, and he's more than likely going to get a shot off because that's just the player he is. So, what do you call it? A good foul?
Yeah,
a good foul.
Good
tactical foul. Good tactical foul.
The lads always shout at you, didn't they? Good yellow. Good yellow. Well, I had a red, didn't I, in the playoff final for something very similar.
It's a good red.
It wasn't a good red. Well, it was a good red in the end. But
so what happened? Just if people didn't see it, what happened?
Yeah, so I think it was Nader Manua, our centre half, got caught on the ball and Johnny Russell nicked it and he was through on goal. And all I could see was the goal, Rob Green, who looked really small in the goal, and then Johnny Russell, and I couldn't get to the ball, so I just managed to clip him. And you sort of I knew it was going to be a red. We tried to claim to the ref that Clint Hill was getting round, but he never was. So anyway, it was a red card, and I was devastated, sat in the changing room. But then, thankfully, Bobby Zamora popped up, didn't he, in the last minute?
How long was left when you got sent off?
It was still in the 50s, so it might have been like the 58th minute or something. And I remember
hot day as well. It was,
and I remember looking up and seeing all them QPR fans and thinking, oh my God, the whole season, and I've let them down like that right at the last minute. As in, I got myself in, had a cup of tea, and I was sat on my own. You're not allowed to watch outside, are you? So I was watching on a screen about that big. And then when Bobby scored it, I was in there on my own, but I was throwing stuff around. Massive relief.
And then out in the middle of all the celebrations and stuff, what did they say to you? Did anybody mention it?
Yeah, so when I was walking off, I was like half looking at the gaffer for don't worry guys, it's okay, you did the right thing. I got nothing from him, he just stared past me. And I was like, oh no. But then afterwards, he just come up to me on my own and said,
it's Harry, isn't it?
Harry Redknapp. He would have scored, Gaz. Like that. So then it made me feel a lot better. I did the right thing.
They have all gone on social media, and whoever gets the most likes is the winner, gets £250 for the charity of their choice, and a £250 bet courtesy of Paddy Power. And the winner, proving that it's all down to the presentation rather than the trick, is Wes.
Yes, Wes.
Shocked.
Go on.
Absolutely shocked.
So you get £250 plus your £250 bet. What do you want to bet on?
I'm going to go for because they're in a tight spot at the moment, I'm going to go Wolves away to Arsenal.
Oh, Wolves to beat Arsenal. What are the odds?
I think they're 7-2.
Let's go for 7-2.
Yeah,
Let's say that.
It is now.
Now, we did say it was the trick or tweet challenge.
Yeah. Get me fun,
And we haven't done the tweet part of it because that is the forfeit. And the losing person who got the least likes on their magic trick has to hand over their phone and have a tweet sent to it by the other two.
Still shocked.
Are you nervous?
I am a little bit,
I'm
yeah.
nervous.
The loser is... It's Gary.
Deservedly so. I'm going to need some management skills after this.
You put together such a great story.
That was a good story. I
and
think
the-
the glimpse of
I think it was
the coloured pages.
You did.
maybe,
It was just in the execution
I'll
a
work
little
on it
bit.
when I get home. I'll have another go.
Go on then. The worst thing is though,
Oh,
it's up to Steve and Wes what they're going to.
What should we do?
Right. So come on. What have you gone with?
Right. So, me and Wes come up with tweeting a former club of
Right.
Gary's. And we've gone with at West Ham, oi Pellegrini, get me back. At Declan Rice is having one. Mark Noble can't move and passes it out of play. I'm fit and ready for action. Hashtag hammers. Hashtag get Gary back. Hashtag liquid football and hashtag bubbles.
So I don't
Do you
even
know
know.
them?
Apologies, Declan. I don't even know Declan either. I am sorry.
I think we need to push the.
Do you want me to
should we
press
let
it?
Gary
You're gonna make me
press
Well,
press
it?
then you've got to press the send button yourself. Go on then.
It's gone.
It's gone. You can never take it away now. It's out there.
It's live.
Forever.
Hashtag get Gary back.
Really enjoyed my first episode.
That is it for this episode of Liquid Football from Joe together with Paddy Power. Thank you very much to Steve Sidwell, to Gary O'Neill and to Wes Brown. Liquid Football is back next Monday. You can download the podcast or watch us on YouTube and leave us a review on iTunes if you like what you hear. We've also got a Facebook page. If you search for Liquid Football, you can get involved in the chat on there. And remember to check out our other shows as well. House of Rugby with James Haskell, TKO with Carl Frampton and Pioneers with John Amici. For now though, thanks for listening.
You've been watching Liquid Football on Joe, sponsored by Paddy Power.